seen what was done on television recently, the daily animation that was done and was several television stations. And it's an initial documentary campaign showing all our drainages, every system, and how they work from one out to the other. If you look at it, let me give you an example now. If you look at system 1, which is begins from Kenya. System 1 covers the whole of Kenya. System 1 is training the whole of Kenya and other tributes around it. From Kenya all till going towards what do you call it? Ojota and Tuni. They're going through Oguju, what is added to the lagoon. Now what we are doing is to now package, an animation, documentary animation, showing the movement of water when you start water from your house and it goes into our drain and it enters the main canal. How it travels, how other tributaries coming from Ikeja, all those Adene Jones and so on, how they enter from Tiawe, how they enter and so on. What we are going to show is to show the movement of that water. So that, and the essence to educate people, so that they do not block these drains, because they are interconnected. In such a way that if you live, for instance, in Tiawe, in Ikeja, and you think that by just putting something on the drain and so on, you don't know the problem you are going to cause. What you have done with that drain will also create problem for them as far as Kenya, Adini Jones, Tony Okwebi, Sagoto Okwebi, the Aisharatin and so on. So we are going to show on television, through that documentary, how to do the system, how to work. So, and I think that's the most significant for the education of people. So they can, we did it for system 1, system 2, system 3, and several other things. One in Agege, we did it for the people to channels in Lekki, and so they were all packaged. And we were able to do this successfully. It was, and the broadcast was done, and for weeks. We are going to repeat it again this year. Towards the end of last year and early this year, it was done. Again, we have to reschedule it and so on. For constant education of our people, for constant mobilization, to prevent flooding and so on. But that's what they need. They need information. They need to be briefed. They need to be adequately informed about how their canals and how they work and so I don't block the drains and so on. And I think the Office of Drainage have done fantastic work in trying to put that together and so on. And that was done over, and we received a lot of communication in that respect. So then the constant liaison with the Oshun River Basin Authority is being done. And many people in the last 3 years we've not witnessed the major flooding that normally occur in Lagos and so on. And this is due to the fact that the constant linkage that the Office of Drainage Services have done by linking up with the people who work with the River Basin Authority, Oshun River Basin Authority. Because if you look at Lagos, all the water from Oyo or part of Oshun, they must end up in Lagos. So, and if you don't manage it very well, and when it rains, everywhere will be flooded. So, what we have done successfully is to be able to work with these people and so on, so that when it rains and when they want to release excess water from the dam and so on, it's managed in such a way that it is done in conjunction with our Office of Drainage Services and so on. And they've done that successfully in the last 3 to 4 years and so on. And they've also done that this year too. So, and apart from that, they've seen the completion of the drainage construction projects, about 36 of them, mostly in Agege, particularly in Agege. We've done successfully in Agege now, in Okikoto, and several other areas and so on. We are used to record flooding and so on. We no longer see such flooding anymore and so on. I think that is due to the fact that the drainage area is always completed. Also in the area, Agege, we've done that and so on. And in several other places we have seen. Also in Wakadia and several. Then also the dredging activities, a lot of them were completed last year and so on. And we're going to do more this year. And there is also the provision of 19th number of new drainage projects, which was done. Then apart from that, we work with other agencies and ensuring that the drainage areas, for instance, if you want to purchase land, if you go to land and want to purchase land, and so if you're very close to our drainage alignment, they will ask you to go and take drainage clearance from the Office of Drainage Services and so on. So we see a lot of applications and so on. So if you have land around the point inside, I'll give you an example around the area inside. So you know that you cannot get that land unless also any services, you are clear about all the services. Because if you go and buy a land or go and build your house, one thing you might come and demolish it and so on. So you must get that clearance on that. So we've done about 72 clearance in the last 1 year and so on. Then also the NTDA, we assist the NTDA in ensuring that most of the estate developments and so on, there is no encroach on some of our drainage alignments as well. We also assist the Ministry of Works in designing their roads, particularly the drainage alignment of the road side. And the also of service also does a lot of that. And then the new regional master plan we are doing, the also of services is involved in doing a lot of that. So, and to that extent, and I think the drainage also of services is has done tremendously well. So it's just a summary of what you do. And also this year, the drainage service has also come out with its normal pattern of rain, which is what to expect this year. The rain is coming, and so on. How many days of rain we are going to record, and so on. They told you that we are going to have rain up to the middle of July this year. So we are going to have a break from the 15th of July up to the end of August, and so on. And then it resumes again in September, and then up to December. But like previously, we are not expecting much dislocation or sort of will be affected in any negative way, provided that we are prepared, we don't block the drains. Because I keep telling people, it's not to say that we will not experience any flooding this year. It's for us to also work towards it. And so because of people, they sell, they do a lot of things and so on. People are building houses, they go and they pour sand in front of what they are doing, and then they sand is block the drain and so on. People think because the government has announced that we won't record one flooding this year, and go and block that and so on, that area will flood. Some areas now, because the train that yesterday or previous days and so on, because of their own miscalculations and so on and so forth, they go ahead to block drains and so on. So the government is doing its best to ensure that all these drains are cleared and so on and so on. But it's also there for individuals, people who live in the respective homes and so on and everywhere, to ensure that all these drainages are not blocked or the back. So we have announced that the program for this year, and that was also in the news several. Now let me come to the Office of Environmental Services. What significantly, what the Office of Environmental Services has done this year is basically, let me tell you, is that if you look at our CAI, our enforcement agency, now, we have had CAI since, I remember when we put many of them in 2003. Remember, I think we launched them in 2003. CAI projects. So, where we included several people and so on. And in the last 10 years now, we discovered that many of them are not permanently enforced. So, and that in a way has affected the way we enforce. So what we are there to do is also bring them as permanent staff of government. But they have to go through proper screening and do all sorts of things and so on to ensure that you are duly qualified to be engaged as an enforcement officer. So what we really develop our enforcement arm, so that when you call the CAI officer, you can enter CAI today as a level officer if you are a graduate, or you can enter CAI as school side, somebody with a school side, maybe level 4 or level 5, and so on, and begin to build a career. And it can rise to the permanent secretary level. So what we have done, that's what we have done for CAI. Now, so that it is possible now to take an employment in CAI and be a CAI officer. You can see, maybe in the future, you can see a CAI officer which level 16 or 17, then the permanent secretary. So we want to give them a future to do, something they can give up. And that will, what we intend to do is to intensify our enforcement activity, so there is more committed towards building our enforcement machinery. And that is almost done. So I think the Office of Environmental Service has done that very well. And the screening is almost completed now, and so I think we will all get better. So that is that in a way is what that. And then also we noticed recently that we have seen a lot of open defecation, urination is becoming common of late, and so on. And the ministry became concerned and so on. And we told the Office of the First Lady and so on to work together we held a local workshop, and so we were able to like to tell people, and so that we are coming out with a very serious enforcement machinery to deal with such things. Open education, open illumination, and so on. We should not tolerate it in our state, and so. And so we are also working on that, and we are also going to be a lot of enlightenment that we're not going to allow it. And let me tell you what has accounted for that rate. If you notice the whole over Nigeria now, the Lagos is booming. We are becoming a victim of our successes. And this has also affected Loma too. They collect more waste now than before. And this is because population is increasing every day. The population we had 4 years ago or 3 years ago, we saw the same population. People keep coming every day. So if they tell you that the population of Lagos was 16 million before, I'm sure it's over 20 million now, 22 million now. So, and what do we do? When people come to Lagos, people who have homes, who don't have anywhere to live, just keep to look at one place and so on and so on. And that has affected our environment in a way. It has increased, the level of garbage that Loma has to collect. People who don't have things to live, they have to go and urinate and defecate in places they see, and so on. So that has become a concern for us to pay attention to. So that is why we are paying emphasis on this purification and so on. Because we want our neighbors to be turned into disaster so on. So, and we also look at the identification of some of these things. So the Office of Environmental Services is seriously working on that. And that is why we need to intensify the enforcement machinery. That is why the CAI is being, by the time they finish the present exercise they are doing, we are going to recruit more people into CAI. People who are actually qualified, people that can build a career. You see that you are building a career, you are a sanitation officer. And if you are a sanitation officer, you have to do your job very well. So, similarly, we are going for the purchase of new vehicles for CAI. Well designed. Similarly, last month we do have new vehicles and so on. You will see the new vehicles are going to see for CAI. They are specially designed vehicles, basically for sanitation purposes and for enforcement. And you will see, I'm sure the next few months or so, by the time they come, they are delivered, you will see new vehicles and so on and so forth. And you see the cars are well fitted. And then, let us look at the climate change. If we look at the climate change that which the ministry has, and has also to also environmental services and so on and so forth. We must commend the bookings that has grown, and so we are able to carry climate change to several situations in Lagos, and they have taken it seriously. They've learned a lot from it and so on, and collaborate with other countries. Particularly the German government has been very active in support. They have been supporting us for many years now on a yearly basis. Many of our school children, they are taking to Germany. They are going this year again. They are taking to Germany to exchange ideas and so on and learn about all those things, about the new things and so on. And they have become wiser about that. And if you see that climate change that was held this year, the significant thing we did about that climate change was that we are moving from the whole idea of explaining what the climate change is all about. We believe that the world is already well educated about that and so on. So we are beginning to see what are the positive things we can gain from climate change. And that was why if you look at the economic studies we did recently, part on the power, agriculture, and transportation, and housing. So we are beginning to adapt it to our climate change. To what extent, how can we involve our climate in such a way that all these policies are integrated into that, so that they are conscious of the effects of the weather and also the adverse effects of it. There are many ways that you can build houses now without necessarily using the old command and so on. So how can you be able to make it more climate friendly and so on. The same thing with agriculture, which you are doing. Also power too. So what are the other things that you can get from power? Some are using even generators now. Before you know it, those who are using generators discover that those generators, they don't longer be used anymore. By the time, they don't longer need diesel because there are new techniques now. I mean, using gas and several other things that you can use for generators and so on. So we want to be able to reduce the carbon monoxide going into the atmosphere and so on. And we believe that if you intensify efforts in that area, we'll be able to do a lot in that. Now, there are several other things as also we need to help the others is also coordinating our other activities, as also ecology and so on. We are taking our wetlands because in fact we have to stop the NTDA. NTDA was trying to do the development along the Lapwell when you are coming to toll gate here. And what we did was to start the NTDA to stop. So because our wetlands around that area. And so we don't want our wetlands to be put upon and so on. You cannot say because we develop estates and so on. So we must give you a limit. So because let me tell you, the significance of wetlands is such that they also help to combat flooding in such a way. They help you to store a lot of water and so on. Some of those water may also be useful for future purposes and so on. It's not all the waters that when it rains, between everything will go into the canal. Some are retained inside the vegetation and so on and so forth. Some of those wetlands, they help to retain some of this water and so on. And if you move those Tomeland Bridge, you see a lot of land around that area and so on. So we feel that area should not be a bunch of we go and fill it up and so on. The effect is that people around that area, maybe by next year, they will feel that this area is lost. And so similarly, we did the same thing in Koyi. Recently, when we had to demolish a house around Koyi, I will have a canal along the Dolphin, opposite Dolphin. And last time is already doing fantastic work around that area now. Now, what we have to do is that we just follow the building. Some people in federal government are just deciding allocating land and so on. No, cannot. But that is wetland. You see never idle. Already, you are allocating land to go and construct buildings around that area. That area, apart from having a drain there, it's also a wetland. And this area, we are preserving this area for the future of Lagos. So nobody can build it. You can't build there. And so, because they also help to preserve water. All the water, all the drains, all the water that should have flooded the whole of Ikoyi, and so on. That area help us to retain some of those water, so that the whole of Ikoyi is not flooded, and so on. So the same thing you have. They also go towards Ikorodu, go on the library. We have a lot of wetlands around that area. All those areas help us to retain a lot of water. So when they are put upon and so on, if you are not careful and so on, they will lead us to flood. And so those are some of the things that we are also doing. Now let's go to our parastatals. We deal with Loma. Others. Now Loma has done a lot in the last 1 year. They're also reviewing some of the things that facing new challenges and so on. I've told you about the increasing population which Loma has to contend with. More waste. You go to our mountain site now. You can see the mountain being built all over. You go to Osojota, about 3 years ago, you couldn't see that mountain. It was a bit, but now it's going up. You see, we are generating more waste. And more waste, we need more resources to be able to deal with it. We need a lot of enforcement to be able to deal with it and so on. That means that you have to increase their capacity. You have to increase, they need more trucks. They need a lot of things and all that and so on. But without even getting that, they're already coping and trying to deal with that and so on. So, apart from trying to ensure that all their trucks are in good condition and so on, they are also trying to do a lot of waste conversion. At the minimal level, because you require a lot of resources, a lot of things to do that. So they've done a lot of work to make us work. In good condition soon, they are doing a lot of waste conversion in that area. Also, in another waste side, Solus also, we are already partnering with some people who are trying to do a lot of waste conversion and so on in that place. Then a lot of recycling. Recycling is going on. A lot of recycling is going on. Also in Lushosu and several of our lactose sites, which is also intensifying upon. And they have some mobile recycling bank now. And number 6 operational zone in the state. The authority also took delivery of about 20,663 wheeler bins, and they are distributed to the residents all over Lagos. And so they purchase and deploy about 100 mini Tata trucks. This is just to aid waste collection and so on. And then the tire shredding, you see the normal collection of tires on the road, abandoned tires and so on. And when they collect all these tires and so on, they take them to the dump site to shred them. We have shredding facilities, and they've done a lot of work on that. And they're also installing the blading machine for packing material at recycling plants. So a lot of work is going on, and a lot of also waste conversion programs, which Loma is also intensifying, and so on. So similarly, Loma is being able to cope and is able to respond adequately to some of the challenges that we face and so on. But the most important thing is that we need to increase the capacity, we need to fund them, we need to give them more money and so on, given the increase in population, given the increasing challenges that they face on a regular basis. So then we come to LASA. Well, the Lagos State, as you know, the agency has changed the use of advertisement in Lagos, and LASA has been consistent in terms of, in fact, if you go to the you need to go there, they have a model office now, so it's called a model office now, around 7 of LASA has moved from the old office now, where they have one green dot, and what we call China kind of was dominating the place, and so they have a fantastic officer, and so on, which is a model for anyone. So and they be very consistent in time to enforce our, some of our all these big walls design and all the adverts and all over the place and so on. And they recently commenced the both advertising formats. Like I don't along Palomon Bridge. This both advertising people was witnessed by this of prospective advertisers, the media and some other advertising agencies. Also the countdown, they're very consistent in the countdown thing and so on. They did a successful one again last year, December, and so on. And the whole of Lagos was really thrilled by that. So, and significantly, NASA has also proposed to host the Africa's most anticipated signing and annual conference, an exhibition in June. And that is going to come up in June, and they're going to invite everybody. It's also to brainstorm, to share ideas on how we can improve on some of the things we're doing, and how we can work together with other states as well as other regional agencies. This initiative is first of its kind in Africa, and I think it's good for us in Lagos State, and it's good that Lagos State is making this initiative and to benefit all of us. Now, last part, that's our latest week. Madam is one of the who have been invited, who have do the governor has invited from our retirement, especially to come and help us midwife. It's also, I remember Mr. Alibaba was one of the people that helped us with the development we have today in the environment. If you look at the Ministry of the Environment, I remember we were in 2003, we did a lot of work together and so and I could say that when the woman has performed so incredibly well and so on, she retired. And then she had not spent up to 6 months, and His Excellency got to call her to come. We have been doing a lot of education, a lot of things that were done. I think in the last 15 years or so, so she's done a lot of education and so on, particularly in the last 7 years and so on. So this education, we don't want to allow it and leave it to the ministry. You know that the ministry has a policy. Our own is that we want to develop our agencies. If you look at most of the countries around the world, now managing the environment is not a thing that the ministry does. I'm not saying, in terms of, I'm not saying managing the environment is the Ministry of Environment, but in terms of the actual work, collecting waste and do all those sort of things, you must have agencies that must be able to take this responsibility up. And that is what the ministry has been doing. And we have been very successful. All our agencies, none of the agencies that were created, none of them has performed below expectation. They have done wonderfully well and so on. So last year when we decided to create LASPAC, because we have done a lot of education in Lagos, we have beautified everywhere, and we see a lot of landscape sites and so on. But we need to, what the ministry does now is to regulate and monitor all our agencies. So it's a larger, we deal with larger issues, policy issues and so on behalf of our agencies and so on. We take them up with the government, with the executive council. So that is the job of the ministry now. So basically what our agencies do now, they do the actual work and so on. So the ministry regulate them, monitor them, and then devise a policy to assist them and so on, ensuring that all these things are carried out. So I'm very happy to say that since Mr. Baba took over as the MD of ASPAC, we've seen a lot of significant improvement in all our parks, and we've seen a lot of work. And the agency, and I can tell you that the agency, they have intensified our green areas across the state. The agency is already working in partnership with the indigenous company on tree enumeration and greenery mapping solution for Lagos State. So all the greenery you see, all the trees and so on and so forth, we must take appropriate sensors for them. It's not just for you to have trees everywhere and so on. You must properly streamline and so on. You must take the sensors. You must be able to say if the certain trees are somewhere and they are properly aligned and so on. So what last part is that doing is to do proper enumeration of all of them. So that if you call somebody in last part and say, there are some what are kind of trees that you have in Kudu, they'll be able to tell you. In Ekwe, in Ibejuleki, and in Alimosho, they'll be able to tell you these are the kind of trees that you find in this particular area and so on. So we are using satellite imagery and so on. We are doing a lot of fantastic work in that regard. They rehabilitated a lot of sites that were abandoned and so on. And then till date, we are approaching about 6 million trees now. Today, we have planted in Lagos. We are approaching about 6 million trees that we have planted in Lagos and so on. It's going to be growing from year to year and so on. So we are 5 million now. So the other say we are approaching 6 million. We are not yet up to that. So the agency has also secured 2 sites for nursery purposes for the Ministry of Agriculture and cooperatives. And then these nursery sites, they are in Erikoro as well as Nokova Agege. So it's to nurture all these nurseries and so on and so on. So that if you go to any of our nurseries and so on, and they are going to replace the outdated plants or replace the plants that have gone bad and so on. I mean, it becomes very easy for us to nurture and so on. But significantly is that you have an agency now that take responsibility. That agency takes responsibility to handle, to manage the greenery as well as the total the aesthetic value of Lagos. It's taken into consideration and so on. So far so good. We are very happy with that. Now let me come to the SEPA. As you know, that's I would say is our oldest agency. July is it I mean Loma is the oldest. The SEPA say there is a debate or whether the SEPA is the oldest or Loma is the oldest and so on. But whether we know which is the oldest. But the most important is that they are doing the work that the negotiators want to see and so on. And I'm very happy to say that the SEPA has taken responsibility all the noise, pollution. If you live in your area, somebody is already one man is setting up a factory or one of the one generator and so on, causing noise in your area. The SEPA is the place to go to now. We have done in such a way that we want the SEPA to take responsibility for noise pollution. All forms of pollution now, we want the SEPA to take that responsibility. So that it's not by the time to call commissioner for environment or call the parliament secretary for environment and so on and so on. So we must have, every agency must have its own responsibility. Yeah. So the SEPA has taken that responsibility and they've done a lot. Presently, about 140 companies have changed from diesel to gas power machines in terms of using their generators and so on because of the things of because the SEPA, was able to tell them to be able to do it, supervise that. The noise nuisance remain a menace and they're seriously working on it. They have done a lot of enforcement on a daily basis. I received a lot of an ambassador to the area of the SEPA. Please, either from Agege, from Kurudu, from Shomolu, from Koshobe, from Agege, Abudeba, you have one person is copying us. Other one woman is grinding pepper beside my house and so on. We ask them. Churches, many churches, many mosques, they make a lot of noise. In some streets, you have about 5 to 6 churches, 4 mosques, 5 churches in a row on the street in Lagos. This has to stop. And we have asked ASEPA to also work on that and so on, that we need to talk about our Lagos leaders. We need to meet them, because noise pollution in Lagos is serious. We can't allow it. And you find it from mosques, from churches. We shouldn't. We shouldn't be encouraging it. So we have to reach a situation where if we have to say that there's a church or a mosque in a particular street, we shouldn't allow another church or mosque to develop further. Another street. We are going to work with planning that. We are not going to allow that anymore. Go to the situation where you have six churches, or 4 mosques, or 5 or 6 mosques, 4 churches on the street alone. You know that last week they can never. Either they call it very cover for what the high blood pressure. They go to work and see that the high blood pressure again and so on. So we have to mind the health of our people and so on. People don't realize the implication of all of this thing. We just think that by making noise and so on and so forth. We all worship God, and God listens to all of us. But it's not by making noise or by disturbing your neighbor. That is when you become that God will hear you. So ASEPA is just working on that, and we just we can work the last 1 year. The last 1 year we can. So and then all our industries as well. And they also monitor our industry in terms of pollution and so on. And there are some already which they've given the timeline for you to comply and so on. So most times we start the management and staff of ASEPA for the water job done and so on. Now, let me come to the office of Lagos Wastewater. Now, we all have social facilities in our homes and so on. When they are soaked away and so on, when they are filled up and so on, we call all these gully areas. They come, we ask them to come and empty our channels and so on. We don't care where they dump them. They take the wastewater from our house and all these products, they go and dump in the lagoon and so on and so forth and so on. So, we find that very distasteful and so on. We can no longer continue to allow that because they are dealing with serious pollution. So we don't, that's why the office of Lagos Wastewater, that is their responsibility now to ensure that all this is done. And they are trying to get a lot of estates, a lot of corporate bodies to ensure that they have treatment facilities, wastewater treatment facilities in their business. You can't build an estate in Lagos now and say you want to build an estate and then you go and do all this open, you go and everybody will start to and so on. The real thing now is that we must have a wastewater treatment facility before we can develop an estate in Lagos now. And that is what the city planning is trying to enforce now. And this is due to the work of the Office of Wastewater in ensuring that we must go and carry the Office of Wastewater if we want to develop an estate, what wastewater facilities are using, how are you disposing of it and so on. And the last 1 year, a total of about 1,481 new private facilities comply with some of their rules and regulations. And the breakdown is as follows: about 215 high-rise buildings, 252 estates, 150 hotels, 50 banks, 394 schools, 265 hospitals, 180 eateries, 552 high-rise buildings, 500 estates, 556 hotels, 152 banks, 636 schools, and 567 hospitals, 89 eateries were monitored, and only 12 high-rise were able to comply and all of that. The office also supervises construction and installation of wastewater treatment plant for 6 general hospitals. So if our general hospitals are trying to ensure that they have wastewater treatment plants. So that's where you can see where we are going. So our general hospitals, they are complying now. I can tell you, in fact, in Shomolu, Lagos Island, Surulere, Papa, Ajobi, Peru, all the plants and they are almost near completion. The wastewater treatment plant, they are nearing completion. So and this is what we are trying to sell to other corporate bodies, all the hotels, all the government agencies, all the private agencies, banks, oil companies, and several others. So because we must have wastewater treatment facilities and so on. And the office has also secured approval for the construction of municipal treatment facilities. One major one, everybody governor led an ESCO members to the facility about a week or 2 ago we went there. And to the general, we are trying to develop a waste treatment facility. And that waste treatment facility we're going to take charge of the whole of Ojota, Maryland, from Webby and so on. So that all the wastewater from that area will now come to that treatment facility. And so I don't have to follow all these dolly hectares. Come and empty my soak away and so on. So if they are going to pipe directly to that bit, or even the dolly hectares, they can even go and come there and so on, and they will treat it. So that before the significance of waste treatment plants is that you, when they are treated, so what you have, what is discharged into the canals or to the lagoon is just ordinary water. So, and some of the things that they can also be used for other purposes, for agricultural purposes and so on. You can get manure from their waste treatment facilities and so on. So we are almost there. And some of also our facilities in Abeson and several other areas, they got the treated and even the government visited themselves. And I was part of that thing that went there and so on. So we are also doing a lot of social discharge bill all over the place and several others. So typically our office of wastewater management, they are doing a lot and so on, and identify efforts. All the facilities that we used to have in Mori and several others in Festa and so on, they are also already looking to it on how can we rehabilitate them and move on the thing. How can we rehabilitate them? How can we make them work better? So that it's not just to rehabilitate those treatment facilities alone. It's for them to be readily available, not to serve the people in that community, so that all these body emptiers, all these people you come and empty your soak away all over the place, they can go there and even dump most of the things instead of going to the lagoon to dump all the time. And so by the time all these treatment facilities are in place, they'll be able to go there, jump there, you'll be able to go to the lagoon again. In fact, I told you that by the time you stop them from going to the lagoon, people in the door will stop. And so when also people they want to use the place in the delta will stop them from doing that. So the thing is to compel them to be using the waste treatment facilities so that we will save ourselves from the other side of pollution. So gentlemen of the press, these are believed that the environment is the mirror of our attitudes and values. It is therefore imperative that we diligently ensure that we protect it by making individual and collective efforts to champion the cause of a healthy environment. In doing so, we must act to ensure the people in our communities live in a clean and hygienic environment. They should cultivate the love for tree planting, bag and dispose of their refuse properly, patronize PSP operators in disposing their waste, and embrace a clean and hygienic way of life. I am delighted to say that on our part, as an institution of government, we remain more than ever committed to our mission of guaranteeing a cleaner and beautiful Lagos. We shall not regret the pursuit of this document. I therefore wish to express my heartfelt appreciation to the entire environment family, especially Dr. Rafik Olani, Special Advisor to the Government of the Environment, Permanent Secretaries, Officer of Drainage and Environmental Services, the Engineer Nudi Nakisoy, and Engineer Akim Ugabi, for their invaluable support and management of the Abia's human resource in the ministry and coordination of staff and policy direction. To the larger environment family, consisting of the Managing Director of Loma, Managing Director of LASA, Managing Director of LASPAC, our general managers in LASA, the coordinator of LASWAMO, and our consultants for their unwavering support at all times, and their deep passion for Lagos environment to become first among equals. Similarly, our most sincere appreciation goes to the entire management and staff who are always on the streets of Lagos and attempt to attain the level at which we are today. I say a very big thank you for your individual and collective contributions. Gentlemen of the press, I wish to dedicate this achievement to you all. It is gratifying to take our tremendous support at all times, particularly your objective and balanced reporting of activities, coverage of our project tours, even during rainy season, as well as weekends. I did really appreciate it. Once again, I implore you all to remain committed to the transformation and regeneration agenda of this administration, and more importantly, let us support the state to make our dear state Africa's model megacity and investment area, which we shall all be proud of. I thank you all for your attention. The call will be back up.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are just listening to an account of stewardship as it concerns the Ministry of the Environment in the last 365 days, and I am very sure the management team in that ministry, as ably led by the Honorable Commissioner, deserves a better round of applause.
Well, the agency responsible for, is LASURA. LASURA is the agency responsible for managing the blighted areas and so on. And if I must recollect, recently, the World Bank program, which we started about 6 years ago or so, and the program expired, we completed and so on. So what we have done now, there is a work going on by the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, which was decided at the ESCO, that the responsibility of that World Bank project and so on, what they were doing and all those things and so on, we advised them to hand over to LASURA. So LASURA is going to take over part of that responsibility now and continue that way. If you look at the Jora, for instance, the housing project going on, they want to do it, they are planning to do it in Jora and so on, and Badia. And so we have to demolish a lot of houses and so on. And it's part of the process. So as well as we take over that responsibility. And so the issue of blighted areas is a long-term thing. It's not a thing that you can wish away overnight. And so blighted areas have been with us and so on. And that's why the government has created LASURA to deal with it. And by the time, in the next few weeks or so, by the time the Commissioner for Economic Planning comes out, there's a corresponding committee of that, and so on. They are going to tell you that there's going to do more responsibility now, not just what is traditional responsibility the agency has now. They are giving them more responsibility to take over some of those tasks. So that is that. If for those who don't know, LASURA, that's Urban Renewal Authority, because Urban Renewal Authority, you didn't have this. So what's LASURA? Urban Renewal Authority. Now, Kai, you said you are trying to, if you will not be like class man, you will not be like, well, let me tell you something. There is no organization that is built that everybody comply to the rules and regulations 100%. They are going to have bad eggs amongst them. So we cannot rule that out. And I cannot promise there will not be bad eggs in terms of the ones we are going to have. So the most important thing is that you have the machinery in place to be able to deal with the issues. If they arise, are we ready to discipline them? Are we responsible enough to take the tax ahead and so on? So we should not even be afraid that some of them will not conform, will not comply. They will dismiss. They will follow the process and so on. But to say because some kind people, they have mastered some people in the past, and some people take bribes, they do all sorts of things and so on and so on. Because of that, we should not be that institution. I believe that even this is even the best way to even curb their excesses. If you are fully engaged, you know you are a civil servant, you don't want to lose your job. You know your career is built on this job, you have to mind what you do. If you know that this is your career pattern, and you want to rise to the director level or to the permanent secretary level in CAI, and then you will go and misbehave. You know you are doing yourself. So it's also a way of building towards that. So I am not afraid that okay, some of them will misbehave and so on. Yes, we should respect that and so on. The most one thing is to have are we ready to be able to deal with that? And I can assure you that the ministry or the organ responsible is adequately prepared to deal with that, whatever that may happen. I mean, we are not afraid to discipline anybody to handle any serious discipline or situation. But the rest assured that we need an effective card. The way Lagos is growing now, we must have what we call environmental police. You see, Nigerian police want Nigerian police to go and take over to manage the environment for you. They can't do it. When they are able, they are able to take care of the crime. We need to develop our own capacity. We have to start developing an enforcement machinery. It's not enough just to stop people from doing it. We must be able to have people who will be able to enforce very well. And this is what we are doing, and I think it's the right direction. I'm not saying that, I mean, we will not be mistaken, people will not, I mean, some people will not go overboard in charge of their duties, but I can tell you that the government is prepared to take charge of it, to take charge of that. Kazim, open defecation. Yeah, we are talking about public toilets in Torah. Yeah, you know, in the past, the ministry took it upon itself to start many public toilets all over the place. But what we've discovered is that the management of those public toilets is very crucial. The people who have to take over those public toilets to manage them. Many of them, if you go to many of them, how many of them can you really enter? If you are going, how many of them can you really enter? If you are going to use public toilet, if you are going now, how many of them can you really go into? So we need decent public toilets that anybody can use it. You are MD of the bank or MD of any agency, you need to enter it and use it. But you have to properly manage. And that's the issue. And that's why the government has stopped further development. To look for better ways for which you can get able people who can really do it, who take that responsibility. That if you want to use the public toilet, you pay to use it, properly managed. You find the tissue paper, everything is there, it's neat, it's well maintained, and so on and so on. It's not just public toilet that anybody should go and be living there, and some people will take over as I mean, some people provide to markets. You have some public toilets that are provided to markets now. We don't use them, so we don't want that kind of thing again. We want properly regulated public toilets, and we are going to see to that. So before we start the further development of public toilets and so on, we want to ensure that that is guaranteed before the government will start continuing that. The over school thing and so on. Well, I'm going to have a special advisor to illustrate that the over school. Well, I know that the condition is still ongoing.
They are kind of right about the urban school that they happened again earlier this year. While we were doing our investigations together with NASEPA and Lagos City, we couldn't really come to the press to exactly brief them on it. We had to, because it happened the second time, we had to establish exactly where the source of the pollution comes from. There were 15 students who were affected. They had some respiratory problems when the pollution happened. Because what was emitted was in the air and was affecting their respiratory systems. We found out that the problem was actually local to that school because there was a primary school, state primary school next door to that particular school, and they think none of them were affected. So based on that, we closed down the school for 2.5 weeks, and we performed experiments all around the compound of the school, and we were able to isolate an old, disused septic tank from where we got most of the emissions. Unfortunately, because it was old, the school authorities did not understand the impact of it, and I think it is possible that some people might have put some waste and all that. So we also were able to tie it down to rain. So it was any time it rained and it rained heavily, the gases actually came out from from the soil. We did extensive assessment of it. So what we actually did, if you go back to the school now, what we did, we removed that pit, replaced the soil surrounding that particular area. So we excavated the whole thing out and replaced the soil. So that's essentially what happened. The chemistry and all that of it, if you want more, you can ask but essentially we have been able to identify the main source of that pollution. Thank you very much.
Yeah, on the, I hope you are satisfied with that. So you can see the work is ongoing. And let me tell you something about pollution. Pollution is not something when it occurs. It's not something that you just take your hands off. You just say, I'm fine. It's a continuous thing. it's a continuous thing that you have to keep monitoring, keep doing, and so on. So we have to take note of that. So those are just close to the subject. Now, on the anti-smoking law, well, the anti-smoking law was passed, and somebody was asking some pieces of people smoking and so on. Well, the way it was the anti-smoking law passed and so on, you expect the thing to the whole of our staff to just start a lot of stuff. Even amongst us here, we have some smokers amongst us here. I know my colleagues in the media. I know the smokers amongst you. So if I say because there is anti-smoking law now, and then I start to ask to stop smoking, or you, so and I know that it's a guy, the law is there, and so the law is not up to the year. So give us time. We are working out the machinery to ensure that somebody do more smoking public places. You can smoke in your bedroom or anywhere. But we are going to ensure that we have to put the machinery in place to ensure that it's effective and so on. The law just will pass. So
perhaps I should add that basically you can see that the idea of people smoking in public is getting out of fashion. We are all seeing it, just like the commissioner said, it's going on gradually. It's getting out of our system gradually. It will take some time, but definitely with you and me, we will get to put this behind us. If it was in those old days, as we are here, some people would have, they will even respect us if they go out, because if they do it here, we perhaps may not be able to do anything. So give us time, just as he has said, the law will take its course and people
If I can add to what my colleagues have said, the law has been passed. The next stage is how to implement the regulatory regime. The parastatal that would be implementing this is Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. Sometime next week, next week Tuesday, we will begin that sensitization with all the stakeholders. You need to understand it is not really just man smoking around and outside that is the issue. Some of us are guilty of smoking. The issue is has implications in virtually everywhere that the public congregates. That is restaurants, nightclubs, hotels, schools, workplaces, and all that. So the way you really need to actually come up with a strategy and implementation so that we can advise all these hoteliers and all that how we want them to comply. Thank you very much.
yeah, on the legal boundary and so on, I will need information from you so we can pass it down to the.
Did you say two? Alaja
Yeah,
she was sick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will take note of that. And Miriam, you have to strictly in usually. You see, you will recall when I started this briefing, I said the population in Lagos is increasing in these places. You see, the amount of, to give you an example, the amount of refuse Loma was collecting about 4 years ago. It's only the same thing they are collecting today. Go and check it. I will give a glaring example is that dog, the dog side. You can see it's building up, it's going up. That shows that population is increasing. And when the population is increasing, what do you have? People who can't find this or that. Lagos is the only place you say, I can easily find a job, everybody come to Lagos. So we are under pressure. So street cleaning and all this you are talking about is part of it. So we will respond. You are question usually. We will take note of that. So, but that is what we'll be combating with. So the the street cleaning, the level of the legal structures, all sorts of legal activities going on and so on. So there's a lot of population pressure. We have people come in and so on, they have nothing to do and so on, they must go and find a means. Now, you know that some of the street are so violent. Even when they are arrested, do you know the amount of people can arrested on a daily basis? They are arrested, that's very street on a daily basis. Some are so violent, because we have lost, our 2 Kai officers do that. Because the bullet of pursuing all the street and so on. They lost their life. So some are even born blind. Under the body attack them and so on. So we are dealing with serious population pressure and so on, and we are responding. So this one you have mentioned, I'm going to call Bios Suleiman, the guy of that street training and all this and so on. And the Sele, you know, Josbaja is creating a problem. Josbaja was already agreed around Sele. So nothing more can be done about Sele now until they finish their own construction. That's what it's costing it. Because if you do it, it's not easy when they're doing construction and so on. And then you go and do, enforcement will not be very difficult for you to be able to do it. So they are just using the advantage of the construction. That's why Sele is like that. So, and I myself have passed through several times and so on, and I've got to comment, but we just discovered that this is the thing we deal with, not the 3-year road. So that's the situation about that place.
Thank you very much. Perhaps before the next set of questions, we told you that, we are streaming this in live. Some people are following us on Twitter. I have some tweets here on human question, because this is perhaps related to various concern. One from Kune Oshodi is fast going back to its old days. What is government doing to save it from degenerating? That's from Kune. There's another one from Chooks. Thank you very much, Chooks. He says the boys who trade at Go Slow are increasing, especially those boys who pretend to clean your windscreen. What is government doing to keep them off the road? That's from Chooks.
Well, in spite of what I've said, when Miriam mentioned about Oshodi, so I am going to call the chairman of the tax force, the tax force. They will respond. Oshodi. Well, last year we recorded the same thing. Last year it happened, it's always happening when people move to Lagos on a daily basis. So it's a population where we have to deal with that. And so it wasn't there 2 years ago, it wasn't there 3 years ago. And so, but every now and then people come when they have nothing to do, they will go and look for our open space and so on. So this will be passed on and so on, and I'm sure our enforcement they will respond and it will work. The boys in the coastal is also part of it. It's also part of it. They are increasing on a daily basis. And that is why to intensify enforcement machinery, to equip our Kai men and so on. We are buying new vehicles and all this and so on. It's part of the enforcement machinery we are trying to improve upon and so on. By the time, we are expecting close to about 120 vehicles. Now, if you carry out of 120 vehicles, it becomes easy for them to do enforcement and all this and so on. So it's part of it. So government is not resting on its right. Government is also responding. We have seen all these things we are talking about. And it's for us to be able to also develop our institutional machinery to be able to respond adequately well. And part of it responding is to improve on the staffing of those who are in Kai. They get more men, get the necessary things that they need to be able to do proper enforcement and so on. And that is almost being completed now. And I can assure you that you will see the
all right, please.
Ọ̀gá wa ń lọ́mà wọ́n wà níbí àwọn náà bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ ọjọ́ bèrè bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yá ọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀mí ẹ ṣe fún bèrè lórí àwọn tó ń ra àwọn ike a ṣe ń rà lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n kó wa ó dẹ̀ nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí kọmíṣánná wa ṣe sọ àwọn ike ìwọ̀n tó
abẹ́ ṣe nínú ẹ̀ sí pé a fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ká túbọ̀ jẹ́ kí àwọn ìtọ́jú ọmọ ṣàkíyè kan túbọ̀ pọ̀ sí i. A ṣe ń ra ìwọ̀n ọgbọ̀n náírà lára ìwọ̀n kan fún ti ọ̀rá omi yẹn, bẹ́ẹ̀ fún ti ike ọgọ́rùn-ún náírà lára ìwọ̀n kan yẹn. Wọ́n lè kó wá fún kó wá tẹ bá gbé ọ̀pọ̀ wa ní oníṣòṣù lẹ̀ kó pọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. So àwọn tó máa túbọ̀ rà máa túbọ̀ jẹ́ kí wọ́n mọ̀ pé iṣẹ́ owó wa. A lè ti rí gbogbo àwọn ará German local government lọ́sọ̀tọ̀ ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ láti sọ fún wọn gbogbo àwọn ọmọ tó wà nílẹ̀ tí wọn ò ṣe ṣe wọn wá wọn máa ṣe àwọn kéjì wọn sọ owó ṣe é ṣe lọ.
I also asked the MP of Roma to respond to that. He said our extensive diploma the fire at the transfer station in Oshodi. And then the Russians was the outside. Can you respond to that?
Yes, thank you, Manuel, for that question. Thank you for commiserating with us. What actually happened there? Because I saw that some of us were giving a wrong report on this. So what happened was there was a welding going on around our tire recycling plant there. And I think the welding gas, I mean the welding tank itself got exploded. I mean, I think it's softening the fire. And that was what ignited most of the tires that we stockpiled there. And I can tell you that we didn't have any extensive damage. The transfer station is not where we process our waste, and our medical waste facility there is none of them is touched.
No
machine, nothing. What you saw there was just the stockpile of the tires to recycle that got on. So that was it. Then the pollution, the increase in waste that was most epidemic, I would say no. What you see at pollution, and I'm glad that most of us can observe that the odor control there is getting better by the day. We have a reduction in odor. And you will see that when we pull up that waste there, we'll cover them, the best practice. Go over there, you see sand layers being put on top of that waste. So it will enhance the biodegradation of that waste and allow it to settle on time and enable us even to recover and maintain gas for electricity over there. And ultimately, we are restoring that site, which was a pit before. We are restoring it into an eco park. All right, it's going to be a theme park over there that going to be a beauty to behold. When you enter the city of Lagos, what you see on the right-hand side will be a beautiful green park. That's just blocking progress. So it's an asset, and I will just build it up all the time. So just rest assured, no evidence whatsoever. We have not been able to trace any form of sickness with anybody.